Hello guys, it's your girl Candidly Kyla here, back with another video. This video is probably the most important video that I will ever put out on my channel. I really do believe that this video is going to help a lot of you guys as you are heading into this new year. The day I'm recording this, it is January the 10th, so we're kind of past the new year point, but not that far past. So there is still time for you to sit down and write down what your goals and visions are for this year. I know a lot of people do vision boards. I know a lot of people do New Year's resolutions, but this is it's kind of like that, but it's a little bit different what I do. So before I get into my actual resolutions, I do want to talk about the year that it all changed for me. I briefly mentioned that 2020 was probably like the worst year of my life. That was the year, it was just terrible. I mean, COVID came flying out of nowhere. Your girl got laid off, had no income coming in. That was the year I officially became like a single mom. It was like everything just went crazy. And I literally had to rely on God to get me through 2020. Like at the time that all that happened, my son was 1. So he was still in diapers. And there were days where I don't even know how I was able to get him diapers. But God did it. Like I literally look back and I'm like, I had nothing. I literally had nothing. Bills falling behind. I mean, every bill was falling behind. And I'm just, yeah. The only way that we made it through that was God providing for us. There would be like money just coming out of nowhere. Really, like I would open up my account and be like, just money in there that I did not have before. And I couldn't tell you where it came from because it wasn't for me. Your girl was not working. Okay. So yeah. God just really showed up and showed out in 2020 for me and Josiah, and I am so grateful. So that was the turning point for me. It was 2020 when I refused to go back to a failed relationship because it's what was convenient and comfortable. God called me out. It was like, you can go back, but that's not what you really want to do. I recommend you trust me. And so I decided to go all in on God. And when I tell you, your girl been up ever since. So 2020 ends and 2021 begins. And I had never done resolutions prior to the beginning of 2021. And that is when I started getting words of the year, was in 2021. I had learned to kind of hear God's voice. My whole life, I've heard people say, God spoke to me. And I was like, well, what did he say? What does he sound like? Like, can I get a number to call him? Because I don't hear nothing from God. I don't know what y'all be talking about. And in 2020, I started to hear God for myself. And I realized that it's different for everybody. For me, it came in the form of worship music. Like I love worship music. People call me lame because I cannot tell you any song on the radio right now. But if you ask me to name that worship song, I could probably do it. I love Elevation Worship, Transformation Church. I love their worship music. Maverick City is pretty big now. Like those are the people that I listen to. And so I started to hear God's voice through song. And it would just like hit me like bam, like a ton of bricks. Like I'm talking to you. Also sermons really spoke to me. It was crazy. And it wasn't every sermon, but it's like, you know, the sermon when God is talking to you. And so I started to really hear his voice in 2020. And so towards the end of 2020, going into 2021, I heard God tell me that my word for 2021 was going to be abundance. Now, mind you, your girl just came out of a season of not abundance, of total lack, okay? And God just provided for us. And so he spoke to me and said, I'm gonna flip the script in 2021. And so I should have wrote down the date that I wrote this list. But instead of writing resolutions, I wrote a list. And I titled it at the top. I'm going to show you, and I'm going to try to, there's something on here that is, gotta hide that part. Okay. Can y'all see that? The list is God can and God will. Just like a bunch of things over here. I just numbered them 1 through 8 at the time, of things that I was believing God to do in 2021. So the first one says new home, and I had a specific address of a home that I wanted to live in. I wrote it down. Now, my mom used to always say the Bible says to write it down and make it plain. Write it down, make it plain. I've never, before 2021, written down anything that I wanted for God to do in my life. Never made a vision board, never said, took a pen and paper and wrote anything down. Now, if y'all look at this paper, this is the most crustiest piece of paper I could have found in my apartment at the time. This is like steno pad paper. That should let you know how low your girl was at the point of writing this. But I just grabbed whatever was nearby. When I heard God speak that the theme or my word of 2021 was going to be abundance, I was like, okay, well, let me write down what it is that I'm believing God for. And so the first thing that I wrote was a new home. The second thing on the list is a vacation for me and Josiah to the mountains during the winter. The third thing is higher paying work from home job or a higher paying position within the company that I was working for. Number 4 is a Toyota RAV4 with a monthly note less than $200. I don't even know if that's possible in this day and age, but hey, I wrote it down. Number 5 is good health and prosperity. Number 6 was 30-pound weight loss. Number 7, be a better, more present and patient mom to Josiah. And number 8 is 4.0 GPA. Because I don't know if y'all know this, but I am in school at Arizona State University. So I wanted to show you guys that some of these things have little stars by them. And those are the things that have happened since I wrote this list. Now, everything does not have a star by it. And I think people get caught up when they write down their resolutions and it doesn't happen right away. They think God forgot about them. No, God's timing is so much better than anything you could conjure up. A lot of these things have not happened yet. Okay, and I wrote this in 2021. We are now in 2023. But I am believing that God is still working on this list on my behalf. So, number 1, new home. We got that. That's where we are right now. Like, it happened. And it happened that year in 2021 when I wrote it. The vacation for me and Josiah to the mountains, still working on that. But hey, we've been to Disney twice, okay, in 1 year. Last year we went to Disney twice. Crazy, never thought that would ever happen. So he didn't give me the mountains, but he gave me something better. But I'm still believing for the mountains. Okay, higher paying work from home job or higher paying position at the company I was at. Got a higher paying work from home job, doing the thing that I actually enjoy doing. That happened towards the end of last year. Toyota RAV4 with monthly note less than 200. Still working on that. Still working on that because like I said, I don't know if that's possible. But hey, with God, all things, okay? Good health and prosperity. I have an asterisk by that because last year I was diagnosed with anxiety out of the blue. Your girl started having panic attacks in April and my whole world got shifted. What they say in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air song, my life got flipped, turned upside down. Yeah, that happened to me. And I was over here just really going through it, y'all. Like if you've never had a panic attack, and I know that it's different for a lot of people, but for me, it felt like I was dying. Like for days at a time, it was like I couldn't catch my breath. I felt like I was just gonna pass out and honestly perish. But God is so good. In the midst of all of that, I went to the doctor. I went to the ER probably 3, 4, 5 times. Went to saw a cardiologist, got my heart checked out, everything. These people told me, you are picture perfect health. And for me, that was really tough for me to even accept because why am I feeling like this? And I've never had, or even thought about what people who suffer from anxiety or panic attacks go through. It's not easy. It's not easy when your body is in fight or flight mode. but you are actually fine. But you have to tell yourself that you're actually fine. And so to hear from the doctor, I had all these tests ran, CT scans, chest x-rays, EKGs, everything said you are a perfect 28-year-old. You are healthy in every category. You are having panic attacks. We don't know why. We recommend therapy and all these sorts of things. But to hear that I was healthy was the switch that I needed to start to recover from anxiety. And so in my bathroom, I actually have on my mirror for the days that I might feel myself a little more anxious. I wrote on my mirror that I'm a powerful woman of God with a good bill of health. And anytime I'm like on edge, I go read that and I internalize that and I feel a lot better. So in my mind, your girl got the good bill of health and we're good. So I checked number 5 off as something that God has already supplied for me. Number 6 is 30-pound weight loss. Now, mind y'all, I wrote this in 2021. I even have the numbers here. So when we went to Disney in March of 2022, your girl was her highest weight I've ever been in life. It says here I was 225 pounds. Never been 225 ever in life. I didn't even realize that I was that heavy. In July of 2022, I was down to 193.2 pounds. So I actually met my goal of a 30-pound weight loss in July of 2022. That was a year after I wrote this list. Today, I stepped on the scale. I am 175 pounds as of January 10th, the day that I'm recording this video. So I have lost a total of 50 pounds since I wrote this list. Excuse me? What? I didn't ask for 50, but God said I'm gonna sprinkle a few extra pounds on it for you. Look, you guys, y'all better. Number 7, be a better, more present and patient mom to Josiah. I don't have that checked off because I feel like I'm going to forever be trying to be a better mom. I don't have it all figured out, you guys. I'm like, Josiah is my first child. He's my only child. And I found that I struggle with like understanding that he's just a child sometimes. Like, because I'm a single mom, I don't really get time off. And he wants to play and run around, and I have to allow him to do that because he's just a kid. So I still have to remind myself, like, don't expect for him to not be a kid when he is. Life is going to get harder for him as he gets older, as it does for all of us. So while he's still in that joyful, youthful, blissful stage, allow him to do that. So that's something that I'm always working on. Day in and day out, it's a conscious thing that I try to not get annoyed when he's like jumping around, because we all need a little energy. So that's probably something that I will never check off of my list because I'm always going to be working on it. And then 4.0 GPA, not checked off. Your girl is working on it. Okay, God is good. But that is still something that I'm working on from this list. So if you write your list this year of what God can and God will, or even if you don't believe in God and you believe in some other higher power, or you just don't believe at all, say what you can and you will, or just what you are hoping for. Put that on the list, okay? But for me, I believe in God over here, and I know that he has the things that are checked off on this list is only because he did it. So for 2022, my word of the year was work. And I'm so glad that I wrote this down. I have another crusty piece of paper that I used. And I wrote this on November 29th of 2021 at 8:20 p.m. That's when God spoke to me and gave me my word for the year. It says, God spoke and said, I'm working things out for your good, but I need for you to do the work. Now, y'all, I am the world's biggest procrastinator. I just am. I will put things off and put things off and put things off until I run out of time. And it's terrible. I need to work on it. But I said in 2022 that I was going to do the work. I don't think I did that great of a job, though. I'm going to be honest. I don't think I did that great of a job. But on November 29th of 2021, I wrote, what have you not been working? I have not been working my faith equals prayer and fasting. So while I do believe in God and I'll listen to a worship album 10 plus hours out of the day, my prayer, I will start a prayer to God and then fell asleep or start a prayer to God and then I remember something else and I'm on YouTube scrolling in the middle of my prayer to Jesus. So I needed to work my faith in 2022. And I do think I did that. I accomplished that. Working my health, eating right, working out, and going to the doctor. I was forced to go to the doctor because of the anxiety attacks. I started eating right after the anxiety attacks, but I never really started working out. And so this whole 50-pound weight loss that I just talked about was from changing my eating habits and anxiety, forcing me to care more about my health. But I hope to incorporate more actual physical movement this year. Working my finances, tithing and saving. I got the tithing down. We're going to work on saving in 2023, but I did tithe faithfully, you guys. I would say about 90%. I think at the beginning of 2022, I wasn't really tithing. I think I might have missed a couple weeks, but I would say from like end of January through all of 2022, I did tithe, and I'm very proud of myself for doing that. Because at first, your girl was not a cheerful giver. Like I was just like, I really could be using this money for Chick-fil-A, or like, I'm just keeping it real. I was like trying to really hold on to that 10%, y'all. But now it's like the first thing that comes out of my check. I can't imagine not tithing, but I do need to work on saving. And then I wrote to myself, I need to work on me as God works in me and moves through every situation tied to me. So that is what I was believing God for. And then I wrote the quote, faith without works is dead. Do the work all 2022. Did I do the work all 2022? No, but I did do the work, and I'm very proud of myself. So that was my 2022 word, and 2023, where we are right now, present day. My word for 2023 is on yet another crusty piece of paper. But you know what? God doesn't care what the paper look like. He cares about your heart posture. So don't get caught up in the theatrics. I know people do the vision boards, but you know, y'all get all creative with the vision boards, but you forget the vision. So let's not lose sight. So these little crusty pieces of paper are more than enough for what God is asking of me. But the first thing the word for 2023 is obedience. Now, I briefly mentioned your girl procrastinates. And this word really attacked me when I got it at the end of 2022 of what my word for 2023 this year was going to be. I listened to a sermon by Mike Todd called Cuffed to the Clock, which is where you think you have control of your life. And you don't. We are all here on borrowed time. And it's the assumption that you have time to do what God has asked you to do. You heard him the first time he said it, but you just putting it off until it's convenient for you. Well, what if you perish in between the time God told you and when you actually did it? That's not good. We don't want to do that. So I told myself I was going to be more obedient. My pastor, my actual pastor, called me, and we have conversations every now and then. And she said to me, you know, God told me your problem is not hearing him, because I can hear God just fine. She said, you actually have to do what he tells you. That's all you got to do. That's what God is waiting on you to do. And I was like, well, there's the confirmation that my word is obedience. God is saying I've been disobedient because he's given me all these instructions, all of these visions and goals for my life, and I'm doing none of the actionable steps that he has also supplied me with to get to that point. So this year, your girl will be obedient, or try. I'm really going to put a conscious effort into trying. But the first thing that God spoke to me that I had to write on my list for 2023 is, it says, I will be healed from anxiety in 2023. I wrote, God spoke it, so it is so. This was like the most random. I was laying down in December last year, trying to go to sleep, and I just heard God say, you'll be healed from anxiety. It was specifically anxiety. It was nothing else from anxiety. Now, mind you, I do feel better most days. I'm not overly anxious, but everybody, like, anxiety is a normal human feeling. Everybody can be anxious about certain things. It's just some of us are more anxious than others. And it's like always in the back of my mind, like, am I gonna have another panic attack today? Nobody should have to live like that. And so for God to speak to me that I will be completely 100% normal, whatever normal is, but I'll be as close to my pre-anxiety self, I was so happy to write that down. I grabbed this crusty paper, the first paper I saw, and wrote that down immediately. The second thing on the list is debt free. I don't really know what that looks like for me because I'm terrible with my finances, you guys. Like, that is one area that I need to get better at. I don't want to say I'm terrible, but like, I need to have savings. I have so many goals that require this of me to get to where I'm trying to go this year. So that is a big one. And then number 3, I want to be more spiritually sound and allowing God to use me as he sees fit. Now, I do, like, if one thing I do is give. I'm a big giver. So like, I'll be in the drive-thru around non-Christmas times and I'll just hear God say, pay for that person. And I do it. And sometimes it's like the last of my money. And I'm like, well, God, I kind of needed that. But I believe in sowing seeds into other people without expecting anything in return. Typically, when I pay for people behind me, I try to get out of the line as quick as possible so that they can't thank me. I don't want that blessing to be tied to me. I want for them to say, wow, God knew that I needed this today and that he supplied that. Not I supplied it, but God did. So I try to be obedient when he speaks to me when it comes to giving, but I want to be obedient in every aspect of my life this year. So resolutions are great, but I highly recommend that you seek God and write down what you are believing that God can and God will do in your life. Because from my list, as you can see, it did not happen the year that I wrote the list. Some of those things did, but a lot of them didn't. A lot of them came in 2022. Some of them will come this year. Even greater things that I didn't even think to write on this list will come this year because God is that great and he knows the things that I am believing for. Even if I don't write it down, he already knows. So I hope that this video helped some of you guys who are just focused on where you want your life to go. If you are in a season of lack like I was in 2020, know that it gets better. You guys, my faith is what sustained me and is still sustaining me 3 years post all of that. When I thought like it was the end of the world to be a single mom, it really turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. I feel like my life would have gone a totally different direction had I still been trying to hold on to something that God was showing me over and over is not for me, i.e. that relationship. But even more so than relationships, we have friendships that we might have to let go of, jobs we might have to let go of, cities we may have to leave, or more so cities we may have to stay in. There's also the flip side of that. But just consult God, whatever it is that you are wanting for your life, and allow him to lead you because he's not going to steer you in the wrong direction. And don't get cuffed to the clock and think God has forgotten about you and what you've asked of him and what you are believing him for, because his timeline is truly the best thing. So y'all, that is a wrap on this video. Get y'all's crusty sheets of paper out and write down what you are believing God for. And let me know in the comments if you know how you feel doing it. If you felt change when you wrote it all down, let me know. Let's talk about it. But I look forward to seeing y'all in the next one. Bye.